Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a virtual world punk deck profile. So I'm really excited you guys because this is actually suggested to me by one of my patrons, Jin. And this deck is an incredible deck that makes some really amazing boards with how well the punk and virtual world archetypes work together. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards like getting your name searched in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this one, guys, and definitely give Jin some love down in the comments down below for suggesting such an awesome deck. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Virtual World Lulu, which is an incredible card for this deck. It's a tuner level 3 monster, which helps out the deck a lot. It's also a psychic monster, so you can special summon it off your copy of E-Telly. It has an incredible effect that if this card is in your hand, you can target one Virtual World card you control and send a Virtual card with a different type, monster, spell, or trap from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon this card. Then you can add a Virtual card of the third type from your deck to your hand, except another copy of itself, and for the rest of the turn, you can only special summon level 3/rank 3 or higher monsters, which is a really good effect for this deck to be able to do, to be able to search and Foolish Burial and get a monster on your side of the field. We then play 3 copies of Virtual World GG. This card is a really good card for the deck as well, that actually just helps out the deck a lot with it being a level 3 monster, that it shares close to the same effect as your Virtual World Lulu. That if this card is in your hand, you can target a Virtual World card that you control and send one Virtual World card of a different type, monster, spell, or trap from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, you get to special summon this card, and then during the end phase of this turn, you can add a Virtual World monster from your graveyard to your hand, which is just a really good effect to be able to recycle your Virtual World monsters. We then play 3 copies of Virtual World Lao Lao. Lao Lao is a monster reborn, which is a really good effect. It does share that same special summon effect and Foolish Burial effect to be able to special summon it to your side of the field, but it also lets you special summon a Virtual World monster from your graveyard and defense position with a different name of that card that was sent to the graveyard. So you can't send a copy of, say, Lulu and then revive back a copy of Lulu to your side of the field, which is just a really awesome thing for this deck to be able to do, that basically this card can get you 2 monsters on your side of the field while also Foolish Barreling something to the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Virtual World Lily. Lily is a really good card as well. You want to play 3 of each of these in the deck because basically it's going to be the most consistent way to play it. This card also has the ability that you can send that Virtual card to the graveyard to special summon this card to your side of the field, but it also has the ability that if this card is in your hand, you can target a Virtual card that you control, send a Virtual card with a different type, monster, spell, or trap from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do special summon this card, then it also lets you send a Virtual card of the third type from your deck to the graveyard, basically being a double Foolish Burial, which is just really good for this deck. We then play a single copy of Virtual Hime, which is the most unique of all of them, which is just a really interesting thing for this card, that if a level 3 monster is normal or special summoned to your field while this card is in the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card as a tuner monster but banish it when it leaves the field. Also, for the rest of the turn, you can only special summon level 3 or rank 3 or higher monsters, and if this card is banished, you can target one of your other banished cards and shuffle it into the deck. This card is a really good one of in here. I did consider playing it at 2, but with all the other cards I'm playing, I ended up with just a single copy. We then play 3 copies of Punk Zeman. Zeman is a really good card because this card has the ability that you pay 600 life points to add another Punk monster from your deck to your hand, which is always going to be your copy of Foxy Tomb that you're going to be grabbing from the deck to be able to special summon out an additional Punk from the deck. We then play a single copy of Madam Spider. Madam Spider is a good card because this card has the ability to pay 600 life points to add a Punk trap card from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to add one of our negates from our deck to our hand. We then play a single copy of Punk Foxy Tomb. This card is a great card to be able to search off your copy of your Zeman, and this card has the ability that you get to once per turn, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can gain life points equal to that monster's original attack, and you can only use each of the following effects of this card once per turn, that you contribute a Punk monster to special summon this card from your hand as a 2300 attack point monster, or with the effect that you're always going to use on this card is you can send this card from your hand or field to the grave to send another card from your hand to the grave, and if you do, special summon a P.U.N.K monster from your deck, which is really good to be able to summon out your copy of Madam Spider while you already have your copy of your other P.U.N.K monster to be able to go for a Needle Fiber and then an Auroradon to be able to make an insane field. We then play, since we are playing an Auroradon package, we're playing a single copy of Colt Wing in here just to generate us some additional tokens on our field. One copy of Despot 01. Despot 01 is really good because you can summon it off your copy of Needle Fiber to then go for Auroradon and make all those insane plays. One copy of Artifact Scythe. Artifact Scythe is just a really, really good card in this deck as well, because you can actually bring it back to your side of the field with Baron de Fleur during your opponent's turn to be able to lock them out of the extra deck, and it's just an overall really, really powerful card to be able to summon to your field to lock your opponent out of the extra deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the hand traps. So for the hand traps that we're playing in this deck, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is basically here just to stop the opponent from touching the deck. It's a really good card for this deck to be able to just stop your opponent from touching theirs, so you can basically go in for your absolutely insane field, and it's an extra negate while in the hand. And then to protect our plays, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Psyframe Gear Gamma and a single copy of Driver. This is an additional way that you can actually go for Needle Fiber, which is just a really awesome thing for this deck to be able to do, while also preventing your opponent from hand trapping you with something like a copy of Ash Blossom. So that's it for the monsters, guys, and the hand traps. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of the Virtual World City. This card is an incredible card for the deck that has the ability that you can place a Virtual Gate card from your deck face up in your spell and trap card zone. Then you can apply the following effects in sequence based on the number of Virtual Gates that you currently control. If you control 2, then all Virtual World monsters you control gain an additional 200 attack this turn. If you control 3, you can send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. And if you control 4, you can special summon up to 4 Virtual monsters with different names from your extra deck. Basically, this card is just here to be able to put one of your Virtual Gates on your side of the field because they're really, really good cards. We then play 3 copies of Virtual World Gate Quan Long. Quan Long is actually a searcher for the deck. This card is very similar to Cubic Karma, but it's just a really awesome card. It has the ability that you can banish 1 Virtual World card from your graveyard and then target 1 face-up monster on the field and negate its effects until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to add a Virtual World monster from your deck to your hand, and then send a card from your hand to the graveyard, which is a really good effect to be able to get some cards out of your hand, like additional copies of Quan Long, and you can also get different cards that you need in the graveyard with this card. We then play 3 copies of the most powerful card in this deck, 3 copies of E-Telly. E-Telly is absolutely insane. It lets you special summon out a level 3 psychic monster from your deck, and you guys will see in the test hands how powerful this card actually is. This card basically just generates your entire field for you with this one card. Is just absolutely insane. It's such a powerful card in this deck to be able to special summon out one of your P.U.N.K monsters, then search Foxy Tune, and then send a card from your hand to the graveyard with the Foxy Tune to be able to special summon out Madam Spider, and then it just goes from there into the Auroradon combo, and it's just really, really good. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing a single copy of Dangerous Kaboo. This card is always searchable off your copy of your Madam Spider, and it has the ability that you get to target 1 effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects, which is a really good effect to basically be like a infinite impermanence that is searchable, which is just really good. We then play a single copy of this Virtual World Gate. This card is really good because it's a monster reborn when it's in the graveyard, but it also has the ability that during the battle phase, if you control another Virtual World Gate card, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field and change its battle position, which is an okay effect, but you're going to want to usually just send this card to the graveyard so you can get its other effect that during the main phase, you can banish this card to special summon. You can banish this card and then target 1 virtual monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but negate its effects. Then send a card from your hand to the graveyard, which is not that big of a deal to be able to just immediately get a monster on your side of the field. It's just really, really good. We then play 2 copies of Virtual World Chuchi. This card is good in the graveyard and on the field, which is why we play it as a 2-up over the other Virtual Gate. It has the ability to target a face-up card on the field and then shuffle 2 of your banished Virtual World cards with different names from each other into the deck and then destroy that card. It's a really powerful card effect to basically be able to pop a card while also recovering some of your virtual cards and putting them back in the deck. It also has a graveyard effect that during your main phase, you can banish this card from the grave and then target a virtual world monster you control and increase or decrease its level or rank by 3 until the end of this turn, helping you go into all sorts of different plays. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of the Virtual World QB. This card is an insanely powerful boss monster. It's basically a walking macrocosmos. It has the ability that any card sent from the field to the graveyard is banished instead, and you can only use each of the following effects this card once per turn. When your monster declares an attack, you can return one banished monster to the owner's graveyard, and then during the main phase, except to turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish 2 other monsters from your graveyard with different original types and attributes, and you get to special summon this card back from the grave, which is a really good effect to be able to just basically special summon this card back over and over again. We then play a single copy of the Dragon Mech. Dragon Mech doesn't come up all that often in the playtesting for me, but it's still really good to be able to pop a card on the field because you, once per turn, banish a tuner monster from your hand graveyard or face revealed, target a card on the field and destroy it, which is a pretty good effect. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. This card is how you're going to usually use your copy of Scythe. It's a really good card for this deck and helps out a lot to be able to put this card on your side of the field as an additional negate. We then play a single copy of Coral Dragon. This card is a really good tuner monster that helps us get into some other plays while also letting us draw a card if this card is used as synchro material. We then play a single copy of Juju. This card is a great card and one of the first cards we're going to summon out of the extra deck, which is just such a powerful card. It has the ability it cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. Well, you have 2 or more monsters in your graveyard with the same original type and attribute, but different names. And you can banish 2 monsters from your graveyard with the same original type and attribute, but different names, and then target 1 card on the field and send it to the graveyard, which is a pretty good effect to be able to just send a card on the field to the grave. We then play a single copy of Stardust Charge Warrior, which when this card is synchro summoned, you get to draw a card, which is a pretty good effect. 1 copy of Muddy Mud Dragon, so we can go into our copy of Dragoon, and then a single copy of Cupid Pitch. Cupid Pitch is going to be one of the cards that we're going to be using in our Auroradon combo to be able to decrease this card's level down to 3 to be able to go in for all sorts of different synchro plays. This card also can search a monster that has 600 defense and is level 8 or lower when this card is used as a synchro material, which is a really, really good effect. We then play a single copy of Ultimaya Tzolk'in, which is easy to summon in this deck because we play level 6 tuner monsters and level 6 monsters, which is really, really awesome for this deck to be able to do. To be able to summon out your copy of Crystal Wing, which is a walking monster negate. Really easy to summon in this deck and just a really awesome boss monster. Play a single copy of M7 as well. This card helps us out a lot because it lets us detach a material from this card and then target 1 monster on the field or in the grave and return it to the hand, which is just really good. Play a single copy of Beatrice because you can send your copy of Artifact Scythe to the graveyard or any card that you need to the graveyard by just going into this card, which is just really nice. Play a single copy of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon because it's a walking negate and it's really easy to actually make because you basically use Muddy Mud Dragon with your copy of Ultimaya Tzolk'in to immediately go into this card. It won't get its pop effect, but it still has its walking negate and gain 1,000 effect, and neither player can target this card or destroy this card with card effects, which is still really insane. Play a single copy of Auroradon because it's a really awesome combo piece for this deck to be able to summon out all those tokens, and then a single copy of Needle Fiber, which Needle Fiber is just really good to be able to go into your copy of Auroradon. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play with. It has absolutely insane combos. I really hope you guys check out the test hands because the test hands are really insane. It's just a really fun deck to be able to play with, and I wouldn't hesitate to carry this deck to a locals or a regionals, and this deck is just so fun. Like, it's really amazing. It's just a really good deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.